this session of the BARC 2022 together with Order Nepad. I'm happy to see that we have 5 speakers who are able to participate in this session on the potential of bamboo value chains for industrialization in Africa. Let me briefly introduce the panel. We have a bit more than 1.5 hours to speak, and ideally, I think it would be if we use limited time for the presentations individually, about 10 minutes each, ideally, so that we have some time for discussion among the audience, and maybe also take up questions from the audience if possible. Is everybody able to connect to the audio and video? If not, please feel free to write into the chat and we will try to get this technically sorted. Okay. Let me quickly introduce the panel. We have Dr. Bernice McLean of Order Nepad, the development organization of the African Union. We have Dr. Grant Ballard-Tremere, a market creation specialist of a consultant firm based in London. We have Mr. Michael Gebru of Bamboo Star Agroforestry, a bamboo entrepreneur working in Ethiopia. We have Mr. Adane Berhe of Adal Industrial PLC, also in Ethiopia. And we have Mr. Li Yong of Zhongzhou International International Holding. It's a Chinese company working on bamboo fiber, and they are established and also are familiar, obviously, with the markets in Africa. I don't want to lose too much time at the beginning and open this floor basically by handing over to Bernice McLean. Please take the floor and introduce your organization and how you see the relevance for bamboo for the objective of the African Union of industrializing Africa in the coming decades. Thank you. Bernice, please.
Thank you very much, Niels, and thank you also for giving us this opportunity to partner with you once again as a key partner in our industrialization endeavors on the continent. My name is Bernice McLean. I work within the industrialization division of the African Union Development Agency, and it's rather a new division, one of the newest divisions working within the African Union ecosystem to help our countries, our member states, to implement their priorities that are taken at the continental level, and specifically on industrialization. So Niels, if it's okay, I'll just quickly present a few slides, just to have a disclaimer from the beginning that we are not, as an institution at this point, very involved in the bamboo value chain development, but have recently become aware of how important it is for the African continent and the opportunities for our countries to contribute to the economic development through this value chain. So my presentation talks more to what we are doing as an institution, as an agency, in terms of industrialization, linking it to the continental free trade area, and looking at sort of continental processes at the moment that are underway for value chain development. So it's less about bamboo and more about the kind of enabling environment to identify opportunities for for the specialists to link in the bamboo value chain into these processes to see where some opportunities are. So
thank you very much.
Further...
Thank you. That's right to the spot. And I just wanted to flag that the presentation, the shared screen works very well. I can see it. Currently, it is still in the preview mode. So exactly, yeah.
Correct.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. So I'll be quite quick to allow for more interesting bamboo-specific presentations to happen. But just to show colleagues where we are in the institutional landscape of the African Union, you can see we do report into the African Union Commission as our engine for the African Union, but we do have a separate reporting structure through the steering committee directly to the heads of state and government. So the reason for that is to try to, as I said earlier, to foster implementation of the continental decisions and really scale up and speed up implementation within the member states. So within the organization, we have been doing industrialization for quite a long time, but it hasn't been institutionalized within our structure until the recent African Union reforms and our sort of designation as a development agency for Africa. And this is just to show why we have institutionalized industrialization within the structure, and really what we are looking at when we talk about industrialization on the continent. So the imperative really comes from the operationalization of the continental free trade area and the need for industrialization to make this operationalization effective, so that we can, as a continent, produce locally and supply local and regional and continental, in addition to the global supply chains. Then obviously the impacts of COVID, I think everybody online knows those impacts, as well as the concurrent crises that we've been seeing in the last few months and years, conflict in the north, and climate change impacts and the like. And these have really led to a very evident disruption of supply chains, and has exposed Africa's economies to be really not able at this point to produce locally and feed these local supply chains to be able to ensure our resilience into the future. And then the third aspect is obviously this is something that UNIDO is very central to, is driving the third industrial development decade for Africa, and some of the strong opportunities to look at collaboration towards Africa's structural transformation and industrialization. So those are really the three imperatives that we talk about when we are talking to industrialization. Now, in terms of the continental free trade area, I thought to highlight this as a key point in this presentation, because we now know that the opportunities presented by the continental free trade area are enormous in terms of being able to provide for a market of 1.3 billion people, and have enormous potential to overcome some of the impacts, the poverty that is ongoing on the continent, and really, it says to lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty and raise real income of 7%. So that's really what we're aiming at in the operationalization of this continental free trade area. The issue with the free trade area is that it's one of the first times that a free trade area has been implemented without having a basis for industrialization. So that's really where we are pursuing industrialization really aggressively, to try to make sure that we don't just become a repository of other goods that aren't produced locally and that do not have any value add for the economies on the continent. Now, obviously, some of the challenges speak to the complexity of regimes and policies that are currently in place. And then also some of the strategic trade-offs that our decision makers are going to need to make when it comes to promoting industrial and trade policy. with all the various complexities around cross-border taxes and the removal of those, and implementing in domestic policy the Continental Free Trade Area provisions. These two documents are just to show that we've, as an institution, we are trying very hard to inform in an evidence-based way and through our programming the rollout of the content of the AFCFTA. And in, I think it was 2020, released a foresight analysis looking at conditions for success. And then the document on the right just shows where some of our programs are aligned with the Continental Free Trade Area while we are in the process of working with the Secretariat to implement and to align our programming so that we do it in a coordinated way. Now, in terms of our, as an institution, our industrialization strategy, and this is something, once again, that UNIDA and other partners have given significant input into. It's something that's about, we're hoping to finalize this year. But really the reasons for the strategy are to promote industrial development, obviously, through diversification and regional value chain development. And then to enhance competitiveness of Africa's economies for realizing the objectives of the CFTA, and promoting, obviously, sustainable and inclusive development for the continent. Now we have, I won't go into detail, but we have 5 main programmatic focal areas. The first one, under manufacturing and value addition, has a number of different components, one of which is agro-industry development. And I thought just to speak to this one briefly so that there's an awareness of how the bamboo value chain could potentially fit into this, or how we may address it in future. So this is really looking at agro-industry development and agro-processing through value chain development. And really looking at how to promote competitive agro-industries to create employment and income opportunities, and fostering innovation specifically, not only in farming, as it says there, but also in the sort of the post-harvest processing, value addition, manufacturing, trading, etc. So we're really looking at trying to foster the full potential of agro-industries as an engine for Africa's socio-economic development. Now, this is just a slide to look at some of the elements that we're looking at when we're talking about value chain development in terms of enablers. And these are really where our programmatic focus in terms of delivery will be. So this is trying to ensure that there's an adequate enabling environment, policy frameworks, laws, standards, etc. Adequate hard and soft infrastructure. So that includes, obviously, roads, railways, and all the trade infrastructure that are necessary, but also the quality infrastructure when we're talking about standards, conformity, and the like. Increasing productivity. This may speak quite significantly to the bamboo value chain. I know that a great number of countries on the continent are looking into it and have already quite some productive sectors, but really looking at how to, in the value chain analysis, ensure sustained productivity and increased productivity as the value chain develops. Then looking at increased quality, value addition, and competitiveness. This is a big one. It's a global industry, and we want to make sure that our countries are getting the best benefit that they can from the industry. So not just growing and harvesting and then exporting, but rather doing the value add and competitiveness aspect to increase the benefits. There's a lot of work going on in terms of agricultural finance and investment. It's a key area that we look at as an institution over all our programmatic areas, not just industrialization. And it's really about assisting countries and engaging with the private sector to ensure that priority activities are financed sustainably and inclusively. And then support for innovation and access to technology. Obviously, as part of the fourth industrial revolution and the need for Africa to become fully integrated within the progress and developments on the globe, we need to make sure that we are linked in and responsive within our learning research institutions and our private sector development to elements of innovation and access to technology. And then last but not least, looking at the sustainability of it, the inclusivity, and very much opportunities for the previously marginalized areas of the continent, including youth, women, and others. We have recently, as an institution, launched a key flagship initiative under the vision of our new CEO called Energize Africa. And that really looks at supporting youth development on the continent, both to support jobs and employment and the like, but also to help to strengthen the public sector. So trying to link the aspect of youth development to our public sector development to strengthen implementation as we go on. Now, just a few lessons for industrialization for the continent. What our approach is really looking at accelerating human capital investment, as I said before, the youth and women, spoken about Energize Africa, advocating for business unusual approaches, so not just the traditional industrialization sectors, although those obviously we'll be looking at. Sorry, let me just go here. But looking also at alternative pathways, whether it's looking at the new and emerging processes for things like blue economy, circular economy, but also in terms of tradable services, those industries without smokestacks, tourism, ICT development and the like. So really thinking outside the box and seeing how we can leverage from the digital development on the globe and trying not to recreate a digital divide on the continent, but to see how we can leverage from that for young people. The third one is really looking at continental business engagement. I spoke about the importance of the private sector. And here we are not only supporting private sector to engage with decision makers and to try to assist with creating an enabling environment for private sector development, but also looking very specifically at micro, small, medium enterprise development and trying to create initiatives that will accelerate MSMEs and incubate them and make sure that there is an innovation pipeline that can feed into the development and scaling up of these of African solutions for industrialization. And one particular initiative that we've been working very hard over the last couple of years is called the Homegrown Solutions Accelerator Initiative. That's been implemented in the health sector, but we are currently looking at opportunities to expand it into the agribusiness or food system sector, as well as blue economy. Now, with the last one I'd like to speak to is just the thought partnerships and how important these are within our job of work, not only to produce sort of information about what we're doing, but also really to link to those who are informing development practices, our research institutions, our think tanks, private sector entities that are knowledge producers, and really trying to make sure that our development trajectories are evidence-based and really promote rapid implementation of policies. Now, the last slide I'd like to just talk to refers to some of the current processes underway within the African Union for value chain development. And I think some of the colleagues who are online here have been involved in tracking this and providing input into it. But there is an initiative to look at how to develop and strengthen key regional value chains at the continental scale in Africa. There is a research initiative underway to develop a diagnostic tool for identifying priority regional value chains and then taking them further to develop an action plan for strengthening value chains at the continental scale. This report at the bottom here, it's going to be launched in November. I think it will be available at the Extraordinary Summit on Industrialization at the end of November, in a couple of weeks' time. But really, you know, what we'd like to do here is to see, in terms of the bamboo value chain, is what lessons are coming out of this. What kind of diagnoses can we use for the bamboo value chain specifically, and see how to then you know, develop it in an informed and coordinated way across the continent, to scale up from the national initiatives to the regional economic community and then continentally. So I'll leave it there, Niels. Thanks so much. Anybody would like to contact me further for any of the points that I mentioned here, please feel free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bernice, for this great overview over about the large dynamics of this continent, about what you're planning with the African Union and how it relates to the broader picture of the African Free Trade Zone that is being developed and the global dynamic. This is very useful, and I hope that it is thought-provoking to all our participants, and that we can relate to that in our further discussion. Let me take the liberty as host to just put up some few slides as well to focus the discussion, and hand over to the next speakers then. Can you see my shared screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. What I just wanted to present is very briefly about UNIDO, what we are, as we are relatively small of the UN agencies. We are a specialized agency on industrial development for poverty reduction, inclusive globalization, and environmental sustainability. We have the 4 strategic priorities of creating shared prosperity, advancing economic competitiveness, safeguarding the environment, and strengthening knowledge and institutions. And to do so, we have 4 enabling functions to achieve those outcomes. We work on technical cooperation and practical projects. We do analytical and research functions and policy advisory services. We do normative functions and work a lot with standards and quality-related activities, as Bernice already related to. And finally, what we're doing now is convening partnerships for knowledge transfer, networking, and industrial cooperation. That is exactly what our session is doing up. Bernice also already focused or related to the African program on the 3rd industrial development decade for Africa, 2016 to 2025, IDDA3. It's a joint initiative in favor of industrialization. I'm not reading out all of those important action points below here, but you can see that it is a very ambitious, a very broad strategy to achieve this ambitious goal. And that is all that I wanted to say about UNIDO, simply for the participants to have an idea. 2 more slides or 3 more slides are focusing actually on the wood value chains for Africa. This is the trade balance of, at the very high level of aggregation, at the 2-digit level of wood articles and charcoal. Africa had been increasingly becoming an importer of wood products. To the level of $2 billion, up to $2 billion annually, and that is at the very high level of aggregation. And if we look at further secondary, 3rd level products like paper, for example, paper and paperboard, Africa is importing to the level of $6 billion of paper annually, and that is obviously something that could theoretically be produced in Africa as well. And at the same time, however, we know that forest cover is also shrinking in Africa. and we're losing forest at the scale of 3 to 4 million hectares annually, and this is not a sustainable solution. There was a more detailed a more detailed report produced on different forestry, secondary and tertiary forest products. In the right corner, you can see the link. The African Development Bank Group had produced a report titled Wood Processing and Trade of Wood Products in Africa. It was published last year and focuses in on some of the regions and some of the value chains. This is just what I wanted to show, to flag that there is a massive deficit in trade with wood products. And that is now really the last slide. This is a slide of a global report titled the Circularity Gap Report 2022 by Circular Economy, about the global material footprint, that the global economy as a total consumes something like 100 gigatons of material annually, and only about a quarter of that is actual biomass. The rest is non-renewable materials. They are basically depletable materials. And if we think about coming to a sustainable solution, we want theoretically to increase the volume of renewable materials, of biomass, and substitute many of the non-renewable resources, being them fossil fuels or being them mineral oils and metals, and substitute them through materials that are renewable and potentially carbon negative. And bamboo is particularly promising in that context because it's so versatile. You can make almost anything from bamboo. You can eat some parts of it. You can make construction materials from it, and textiles, and many things that are solving societal needs or addressing needs. And they are titled here as housing, communication, mobility, healthcare, services, consumables, and nutrition. On housing, it's obvious that we can build houses with bamboo, but for communication, paper still is an important aspect. Yeah, and I guess these are some of the aspects that we're talking about. That is just to stimulate discussion further on. I will leave it for the sake of time with these inputs and move forward to the next presenter on our panel. And at this stage, I would like to ask for the input of Dr. Grant Ballard-Tremere. He's the CEO of a consultant firm based in London called ECO, that is a company focusing on the development of project proposals in sustainable energy and climate change sectors. With a focus on project, market, and business development, ECO aims to empower local communities and organizations. He has a PhD in engineering and thermodynamics. So I think it's a very interesting mix of business sense in that sense and real world grounding. And I would look forward to his presentation about international financing opportunities, potentials from international donors for projects like the one that we will discuss further on in the session. Please, Dr. Grant Ballard-Tremere, for your presentation, please.
Thank you very much, Niels, and it's a great pleasure to be able to join all of you today. I'm really looking forward to the session and the discussion, so I'll keep my presentation brief. Hope you can see it all. It's all coming through clear. All right, so as Niels said, my company specializes in enabling our clients to access environmental funds. We focus predominantly on in the area of climate change, and we're working throughout the world. In my presentation today, I'm going to cover three things. I'm going to firstly start talking about the opportunity. Now, you are much more specialists in the area of bamboo than I am, so I'm going to really focus on the environmental priorities and the opportunities that exist for bamboo to access environmental funds related to particularly climate change funding. So that's the first part of the presentation. Then we'll talk about the challenge. There are quite a number of challenges that stand in the way of accessing this type of funding, and some of them relate specifically to bamboo, and some of them are general access issues. So we're going to talk briefly about the challenge that exists. And then the third part of the presentation is going to be a very brief case study. I'm talking about a bamboo sector climate project that's currently under development. And I'll give you some brief insights into that. So that'll be the third part of the presentation. All right, so just on the first aspect, just to get our context all clear, bamboo value chains, they can really deliver some great benefits that are of significant interest to environmental funds and to climate funds. Firstly, the environmental credentials. Some of them have been mentioned already, and Niels has mentioned this as well. We are able, through the use of bamboo, to enhance ecosystems, to restore ecosystems. This means reducing emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. We reduce emissions by reducing deforestation, also by sequestering carbon, that is to embed carbon into the roots and under the ground, to absorb carbon from the atmosphere, which bamboo does while it grows, and embed it into the ground for long-term storage. And we can improve resilience. Resilience is all about the human risks that are posed by being exposed to climate hazards. And because many people are living in poverty, because they have low incomes and few choices, they are vulnerable to the change that climate change is bringing. So ecosystem restoration brings all of these potential benefits that are of great interest to environmental funding. Secondly, water retention. The potential that bamboo can deliver through upstream growth of bamboo in different along areas where there is erosion and degradation can enhance water retention in the soil, reduce floods and such like. This enhances resilience of communities that are downstream. There's the reducing of deforestation, and closely related to that, the stabilization of degraded land. And of course, benefits that bamboo can bring in the area of biodiversity as well. Now, there are many co-benefits, and we've just been hearing from the African Union about the industrialization that is needed within Africa. The industrialization that bamboo value chains can bring are indisputable. Economic development, job creation, poverty reduction, all related, what we call co-benefits. From an environmental point of view, we say the environment is the primary purpose of this particular initiative, and there are co-benefits that relate to it. Now, international environmental funding really aims to deliver on these global environmental priorities. And they often relate to conventions or multilateral agreements, such as the Convention on Biological Diversity, the UNFCCC, which is the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, and others that I've listed over here. So there are a number of agreements. Yes.
Grant, can I please disrupt? I think we lost your shared screen. Currently, what I'm seeing is your video.
That's a pity.
You're referring to the shared screen, and you prepared that presentation, and I think it's a very useful one.
Yes, is it showing now?
So
Yes.
Not yet. No, I don't.
You are sharing screen.
Yeah,
one.
now.
Yeah.
Wait a moment. Let me. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's coming through.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
I wonder what's going on there. That's strange. It somehow
please go
dropped off.
No. Yeah, it dropped off.
So,
no, please go
yeah.
ahead, and please be aware of the time. We still have
Yes.
more than 1 hour to go, but there are 4 more speakers. So
yes.
it would be
Okay.
good to.
So these are many of the different funds or different conventions that are relevant, and I am particularly involved in work related to the UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and these funds also aim to deliver sustainable development goals as a co-benefit. So here is an example of funding related to climate change. This slide shows the sources and intermediaries that provide immediate climate finance. And in total, in the period of this study, which relates to 2019 and 2020, the total investment in climate was around 632 billion US dollars. This slide shows some of the sources for that. So in blue are those that are public sector sources of funding in climate, in the climate sector. This is addressing mitigation and also addressing resilience. And in orange, that is over here, shows public sector, or the private sector investment in the sector. So it's important to realize that when I give some examples, I'm going to talk about multilateral climate funds. That's this little bit over here that just is multilateral climate funds, and the unit here is US dollars. It's 4 billion US dollars per year, approximately, that is invested in the sector from public sources by multilateral funds. But it's only a small part of the overall funding that is available in climate sector. There are commercial financial institutions investing. A lot of that goes into renewable energy. There are corporations. In many areas of the world, people are buying, for example, electric cars. This is a whole lot of the investment that is taking place in the climate sector there. But in the public sector, also national financial institutions, bilateral and multilateral. So there's a whole range of different funding sources. Now, when we think about the challenges that exist, I'm going to just mention 3 of them very quickly. Firstly is around knowledge. The benefits of bamboo and bamboo value chains are not really well known in the world, but also particularly in the environmental sector. There's a perception that biomass in general and bamboo has an idea of being dirty when it's burnt. It's contributing to deforestation and such like. So there's a perception that we need to address. And thirdly, there's a question of access. Funds are difficult to access. And 3 solutions that I'm listing on the other side of the page. One has to do with generation of knowledge. We do need more information about the benefits, for example, of bamboo and biomass chains to enhance resilience. With more information, it is better able to make the arguments that we need. Secondly, to promote. We need to get the word out about the benefits of bamboo value chains for Africa. We need to get that word out to the world and to these funds. And thirdly, we need to look at enabling access. And I divided this into 2 little pieces. One is that we, in order to enhance the opportunity for funding, we need to see governments supporting the access through national strategies. And these are national strategies such as climate change strategies, to say that this is an important sector. If these national strategies say it, then it facilitates access from international funding. And finally, market facilitators are needed. Market facilitator like UNIDO is needed in order to be able to enhance access, because these funds are not normally directly accessible by private sector in the countries. Finally, a quick case study. I'm going to talk about a new fund that is being created called the Silver Fund. This project is an initiative of Conservation International. They are the market facilitators in this, because they have access to a fund called the Global Environment Facility. So Conservation International can access it. And there are fund managers, and these two companies are closely connected. One is Bamboo Capital Partners, and the other is Palladium. Palladium owns a minority portion of Bamboo Capital Partners. These are patient capital institutional investors that are seeking to bring about an environmental benefit on the ground at the same time as making a profit. This project is a request for $10 million of junior equity from this fund into the overall fund, and there's going to be matching fund of $77 million of co-financing from private sector funders. Because the JEF money is going as a junior equity partner, it's in its first loss position within the financing structure. The agency is the JEF. It is covering this multiple benefits of biodiversity, climate change mitigation, and land degradation, and it's a project under development. It's happening in South America, but I thought since it's actually under development right now, it was only submitted as a concept in March of this year. That would be particularly interesting. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but the project itself includes both investment and technical assistance activities to deliver all these benefits that are estimated at the time of the concept. So that's a quick run through of it. Hopefully I've kept somewhat within the time, Niels, and back to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for this overview. Those are impressive numbers, and they show us at the same time that there are funding opportunities for projects. They need to be well structured and well formulated to be submitted to be successful. And there is an entire portfolio of donors who are potentially willing to contribute. And this is very important information. Currently, the COP27, the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, they are meeting in Egypt. They are discussing exactly these kind of funding opportunities, and what is necessary to seriously reduce emissions and to prepare for a future that is less predictable in terms of climate, to be able to achieve the other development goals. Thank you very much, Dr. Grant-Ballat-Tremer. That was a very important contribution. Let me, for the sake of time, move on to our next presenter. We have Mr. Michael Gebru. He is the founder of Bamboo Star Agroforestry PLC, which is located in Benishangul Gumuz region of Ethiopia. I would like to I would like to ask him to give his presentation, and also please be aware of the time that also the other speakers still will be able to give their input, and that we can have a brief discussion at the end of it. Mr. Gebru, the floor is yours. Please start your presentation and share your screen. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, you're unmuted. I hear you well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Niels. My name is Michael Gebru, founder and the CEO of Bamboo Star Agroforestry PLC Ethiopia. I'll try to make it precise and short, but at the same time, I would like to thank also Dr. Grant for his brief communicate with him, and I really thank you for his brief explanation. So to come back to my presentations. Try to make it very short, and I've got few. There's some technical difficulties. I apologize for that. So I'm going to continue going through my computer, going through my PowerPoint. Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So again, I'm sorry again. The points I'm going to talk in short is bamboo as a plant, the characteristics of its behavior, and Ethiopia, a brief description. Reason why you should invest in Ethiopia, the competitive advantage and opportunities. Number 4 is use applications of bamboo as a traditional and industrial use. Why bamboo in Ethiopia? Bamboo industry and policies in Ethiopia. Also the Bamboo Star Agroforestry. We'll talk in brief about my company. Then the bamboo markets, domestic and global. And finally, I'll talk about the stakeholders. So just to start with, Ethiopia is located in East Africa with a population of over 110 million. The economy is about 80% is agriculture. Why invest in Ethiopia? The country's economy has been registered average GDP over 10% in annum. The democratic advantage is large, second in Africa, which are young and median age 20 and two-thirds below age of 25 and trainable population. Rapid urbanization also is in the capital city of Addis Ababa. It's forecast to be 5th most populous city in Africa in 2025, with a population of 6.1 million up to 10 million people. Also has also light trade transport, first in sub-Saharan country. Of course, now many countries have now established light train transits in the country. Opportunities in investing in manufacturing, merging the top powerhouse of Africa as one of the lowest manufacturing labor costs in the world, with hourly of 0.50 cents USD. Post hard-working, disciplined, and relatively cheap workforce as one of the world's cheapest electricity price in the country. The infrastructure has also steady and rapidly improving surface transportation infrastructures, has the biggest and very efficient airline in Africa and largest cargo fleets in Africa. Huge untapped resources, has an emerging oil, gas, and mining opportunities, and huge untapped agricultural potentials. About 74 million hectares arable land, 15 million hectares of cultivated, largest wheat producer in Africa and the largest producer of teff in the world, the largest coffee exporter in Africa. Having said this, the tourism also in Ethiopia holds the largest number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites, conference in tourism in growing business in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is updated resources, largest in Africa and third from the world. 2 species of lowland bamboo and highland bamboo. Multifaceted support from the government and NGOs. Major producers in the country: Bamboo Star Agroforestry PLC in Asosa, BJRS, Adal Bamboo Production PLC in Southern Regional Ethiopia. Also, SA Bamboo in the western bamboo, part of Ethiopia. There are also predominantly traditional bamboo growers and procedures. Currently, coordinated integration and network approach of bamboo development is through the National Bamboo Development Unit, NABRU, and NRM directed of the MOA Ministry of Agriculture. Next, why bamboo is in Ethiopia is very important. It's eco-friendly, substitute to wood, steel, iron, and plastic, stronger than steel and by weight, economic driver for promoting sustainable livelihood, fascinating and useful plant in the world. Over 1,000 different species of bamboo with variety, character, and marketing potentials in the world. 2 species are available in Ethiopia, all of those. Uses for food: bamboo shoot, the old clothes twice as soft as cotton, medicines, floorings, furniture, fencing, fertilizing, composite, musical instruments, house decorations. It can be transformed countless number of environmental friendly products. Talking about bamboo in Ethiopia, mostly in the southern part of Ethiopia, more than 10 million people, households, build their houses from bamboo. And the bamboo is very friendly, stylish appearance, disease-free and treatment resistance, clean, no fumes, easy cleaning, simple installations. Most species grow 1 feet a day, but some species 4 feet a day. It has naturally antibacterial, no need pesticides and fertilizers. It covers uses of preservation of foods. Bamboo cleans the air we breathe because it contains carbon dioxide, CO2 to breathable oxygen, 35% more oxygen than other plants. Wide acceptance and support from private and governments. Massive market opportunity, national and international. Almost every part of bamboo can be utilized with a little or no waste. fast replacement, regeneration. Most bamboo needs 29 days, helps retain water in the water house, can be harvested annually, no need replanting after harvesting. It prevents soil erosion effectively.
Mr. Gabriel, can I
Job,
ask you
yes,
to come to your company, to the company Bamboo Star
definitely.
Agroforestry?
Sure,
What you're
sure.
doing
I'm coming to
currently,
that.
and what's your vision for future expansion? Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm coming to that in short. Towards bamboo development, the cultivation ecology environment, new technology and environment-friendly produce, industrial products, rural development and livelihood, policy and investment. Coming to our company vision is to be established as one of the leading bamboo products manufacturing company in Africa and provide innovative and quality products to our customers by creating and maintaining eco-friendly environments. And our mission also to be profitable provider of high quality bamboo flooring, ceiling, doors, toothpicks, chopsticks, and other products that provide value to our customers and create a company that can attract, recruit, and retain competent, talented, and trustworthy employees. Bamboo Star has three functions: running the factory, managing the forest, and developing the nursery sites. At this time, Bamboo Star has signed a lease 400,000 hectares of bamboo forest, existing forest, and we're managing by giving the necessary lesson to the training to the farmers to protect it from fire. Annually, there is, especially on the hot season, June and July, there is a hot season from May. In fact, it's from May to July. It's hot season. During that time, people, we train them to protect by making fire breaker from the forest, because in that area, especially people they use for hunting purpose, they burn the forest for hunting purpose, just to catch a few antelopes or the necessary meal they can get from benefit from the forest. Sometimes lack of knowledge, they destroy in thousands of hectares of bamboo. So that kind of lessons, by going through the farmers area,
Okay.
we give them lesson instead of burning the forest. If they protect it and harvest it and supply it to our factory, they can make more money. And then by that, I think now the farmers, the past 5 years, we taught them the lesson, and they stop, burning the forest for hunting purpose. That's a good thing.
Okay.
At the same time,
so what's the activity of your company at the moment? What are you producing, and at what volume?
We are producing bamboo floorings and bamboo ceilings and toothpicks. Per annum, we're producing 120,000 square meters of bamboo floorings, about 17 million toothpicks, and doors, and we're now heading to manufacture furnitures at the same time. So that's our plan in the future. At the same time,
and what's the market at the moment? What's the market? Is it for the domestic market or for the export?
This is for domestic markets, but to go to the exports, the demand is high. We haven't reached to that point, because in order to export, if we don't deliver what we signed, or the lease or the agreement with our buyers, it's not good for our company. So we're looking to increase our capacity in the near future. Once we reach that point, we're planning to export to IKEA and Costco, and also in the Middle East countries that we have that high demand for our products.
Okay. Can I ask you, what are the areas of cooperations, or what are bottlenecks? What would you need to be more productive with your company?
The bottlenecks is since our company is the first entrepreneur or the first company introducing bamboo in that area, because before we arrived there or before we invested in that area, people were using bamboo as for traditional purpose only, making house. They make it for firewood. There is, of course, the bamboo shoot. Once in a year, they use the bamboo shoot for food purpose. Besides that, of course, they use it for music, make musical instruments. Traditional things. We're the first one to go into that area and change into industrialization, expanding to teaching the people, because we work with the farmers and with their children. With the farmers, we give them the forest protected. When we need also, the time comes for harvesting, we give them a training how to harvest it and supply it to our factory. At the same time, their children or their families, we hire them, give them job opportunity in our factory. They work with us. So we work hand in glove with them.
Good. That's good to hear. For the sake of time and to be able to have a brief discussion and wrap up, could I ask you to summarize your presentation within 1 minute or 1 or 2 minutes? Is that possible? What are key things that you would want to flag in terms of what you would require in assistance or for cooperation? What are the next steps for your business development?
Wonderful. In fact, thanks for your giving the chance to talk about or summarizing my presentations. Since we have vast natural resources in that area, we are looking to build a pulp and paper mill that for local consumption as well as for export consumption. At the same time, we can export it. So we have huge resources, and we're looking for investors to join us and work together with us. That's for our highest and high-end goal. For the medium goal, as we are working right now, we are looking also for investors to join us to expand our company for expansion purpose, produce household utensils, bamboo furniture company at the same time. Also to expand the bamboo flooring company in our area for local use. And if you export it, I think it's for benefit for sure. It's lucrative business. We can all benefit from this.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving your presentation. For the sake of time, please let me introduce, we have 2 more speakers. Let me introduce the next speaker, Mr. Adane Berhe of the company Adal Industry, also from Ethiopia, from Oromia regional state. Mr. Berhe, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
All right. Please share your video and share your presentation.
Okay. Okay, just a minute. Unfortunately,
Mr. Berhe, we don't hear you because you're muted. On the left bottom angle of your screen, there is a symbol for the microphone. If you click
Yes.
it, you
Can
will
you hear me now?
Okay. Now we hear you
Yes.
clear, but we don't see your shared screen.
Yeah, I do now. I don't know.
On the bottom of the screen, yeah, there is this green button. Okay. Now it's screen sharing. It works. All right. Yes.
Yeah, now it is coming. Okay.
Please.
It's the logo shows a man carry bamboo stem significant that it is a major import. The bamboo business started in 1985, believing that the bamboo business would go forward with the technology advancement. We started by producing incense stick. Incense stick manually using knife. The process was not competitive, making with imported incense stick in quality. Traveled to Taiwan and observed the technologies that produce sanitary toothpick and bamboo flooring. That in 2006, they confirmed that Ethiopia has 1.5 million hectare land cover with bamboo, which is sufficient to start a company. On the same year, we imported the technology from Taiwan and upgraded. ADAL was started with the motto, save the forest, save the earth, save the environment, save the earth to stop the destruction of forest and all the consequences that come along with destruction of tree. ADAL has 180 employees and 90% of employees are women. Thus, ADAL has proved significant opportunity. ADAL products: incense stick, sanitary toothpicks, bamboo flooring, bamboo ceiling, bamboo blending. Currently, we are producing bamboo pulp and paper that it is running very good products. Bamboo charcoal briquettes. This product is from the producing process. There was a lot of leftover. Then we are producing charcoal briquettes. This is like using as alternative energy for the household and barbecue and hotels. Any who uses house energy. Bamboo handbags. ADAL has brought the motto into action by manufacturing charcoal briquette made by eco-friendly plant known as bamboo as a raw material instead of woods. Besides that, we reuse the leftover bamboo from other products by implementing the clean production. Currently, we have started producing pulp and integrated virgin kraft paper for packaging. Through our experience, it was possible to identify that the price of bamboo is not viable to produce virgin pulp bamboo. The development of bamboo and accelerating of modern bamboo technology needs greater attention. Suitable area for growing bamboo have to be exploited to a large extent. Firms engaged in the manufacturing of bamboo need encouragement to grow in order to respond to local demand and go into international market ultimately. We strive for excellence in quality, pursue meticulous manufacturing, pursue perfection, and pass on a spirit from generation to generation. Create quality products that are intimately integrated with nature. Bamboo in Ethiopia. Can I forward it, please? Hello. Can I continue?
Please go ahead, but be aware of the time.
Okay, if I have a time, I will forward it. Thank you very much. Ethiopia has a large area of bamboo in Africa. Studies show that bamboo in Ethiopia consistently 67% of local total production in Africa. The country has nearly 1.5 million hectares of bamboo reserves, yet the production and the consumption of bamboo and bamboo products is very limited. A value-added addition is minimal due to poor processing technology. Harvesting, production, and processing of bamboo is well handled and managed. Ethiopia should have potential to generate an approximately of 9.5 million birr every year. This estimated by local money, when I'm exchanging to dollar, is about $180 million. This is an indication that the sector is exploited in a reasonable amount. The potential will be very attractive to support the country's agriculture-led economy together with coffee, horticulture, leather and hides, and other agriculture products.
Okay,
although
thank you very much.
Bamboo is not an integral part.
Yeah, I think that sums it up very well. And for the sake of time, I would suggest to move to our final speaker, Mr. Li Yong, the Manager of International Affairs of the Zhongzhou International Holding, so that he will also be able to deliver his presentation, and we will still have time for a brief summary and comparison of the different value chains and of potential ways forward for the development of bamboo value chains in Africa. Is that okay, Mr. Berhe?
That's okay, but only one point that I will provide to you. It is already finalized. So let me produce one paragraph that I'm telling you only for summarized my presentation. Okay? Okay. For this household bamboo is the major source of income. But addition to the traditional use of bamboo and bamboo products, attention should be toward the value adding process, which will result in creating additional jobs of citizens and increase return from the sector. One way could be processing the bamboo to finish and semi-finished products by introducing bamboo processing plants. finalized, this produce may be used for industrial, household, and construction purpose.
Okay.
So I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to exchange my presentation. For your further information, our website is www.adalbamboo.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you. Yes, please, let's come to the final presentation of this session. Mr. Li Yong, as I said, Manager of International Affairs of Zhongzhou International Holding. I'm happy to have you on board on this panel, and I would hand over to you, please, to give your presentation. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Yes, thank you, Mr. Nizar. Yes, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for us to have a very deep communication for the bamboo industry in Africa. So firstly, here is a little misunderstanding. I just cooperation with Africa partner.
打扰一下，老师，
Not
丁
like
老师。然后您这个对话框可以往边上挪一下吗？它挡住您的 PPT 了。
现在可以吗？
没有，它有一块黑的，在挡住您的 PPT 了。看您这个桌面上有没有那个对话框，可以把它挪开或者擦掉。
我已经。
对，我看见您在挪了。
这样可以了吗？
还差一点。哎，往上移，对。
可以了吗？
哎，可以了。好了，您可以开始了。好。
Okay, so yes, it's a little mistake. I'm not developing bamboo industry in Africa. I'm just cooperation with the African partner. So we are looking for what can developing the bamboo industry in Africa in future. So yes, we started the bamboo paper business 6 years ago, and we create the sustainable home and personal care bamboo paper, and we sell in Europe. So this is the first items we are packing use the plastic and the paper. And now this is our new brand and new package. We already without the plastic package for even the package, which means we survive we save the wood at the same time, no plastic. So now we already have a very strong distributor retail supermarket in Europe. We sell different supermarkets. We teach in different people, and we hope more and more people can use sustainable bamboo paper. So yes, I just quickly talking with some idea. The resource supply side. I just know from China that we should let the raw bamboos cut it down and transportation to the factory more easy. The bamboo which we got at the moment is appropriate all from natural bamboo forest, and certification management of bamboo forests is the key to sustainable development in future. I think African bamboo also needs artificial management. So from the bamboo paper business, I found the value addition, as I know many people don't know and they don't believe that bamboo can make paper. Maybe someone also afraid, like the marketing feedback, they are afraid that bamboo paper quality is not as good as the traditionally wood pulp paper. We already have made bamboo pulp paper into a lot kinds of paper, from householding paper to office paper and package paper. And we are also working on making the medical paper, which means value addition is mainly from impossible be possible. From the market development, marketing education for any new product takes time and patience. First of all, products standard and special requirements are the first pricing, and that manufacturer need to be attention. Secondly, we need to improve the certification and addition testing which market needed. Thirdly, we should give full consideration to the carbon emission and carbon neutrality of our products. This means, especially for European markets, we should make the certification, a lot of details be perfect, because all the good items should from the certification. We also have a lot of challenges and lessons because bamboo paper is a new kind of paper. So, it's very difficult. We just explain what's the bamboo paper. And also like our toilet paper, we move all the paper from the supermarket shelves because the toilet paper in European should be flushable. It means like the people were using and throw into the toilet and flush away. But like China, we use toilet paper is much strong and cannot flushable. And like our kitchen paper, because the embossing is not, the logo is not so good, so the people don't like, even the people don't like to test. And we are here now that I think the biggest challenge is that you don't dare to face challenges. As far as I know, Ghana has built a bamboo pump and a paper mill, which is not very large at present. Ghana has taken the first step for bamboo paper from 0 to 1, which actually is the only way for developing. I believe if we use advancing equipment and find a professional team, Africa should be an important supply of bamboo pulp and paper in future. And bamboo industry can help local people and African culture developing at the same time. Inclusive development. I believe the inclusive development refers to be people-centered and all-round development, which is sound and sustainable economic and social developing. Inclusive development means that all countries will benefit from globalization and regional economic, and that the benefits and the wealth generation by economic groups will be shared by all people, especially the vulnerable groups and the less developed countries, especially in Africa. Because I have lived in Cameroon and another African countries for a time, I know Africa. So how to let the worthless items within reach into valuable resource is the start point of inclusive development in Africa, because the people didn't have the equipment and the technology, so a lot of bamboo cannot be using in Africa. Also, inclusive development requires us to learn the patience of bamboo. When bamboo shoots stay underground for almost 3 years, they constantly strengthen the rules system and prepare for green up when they are out of rules. At present, the African bamboo industry is relatively short of technique and sustainable resource because the industry and the talents are interdependent. So we need to let more and more people who are interested in the bamboo industry to learn the skills and the technique of the bamboo industry. I'm firmly believe that many of Chinese bamboo industry related universities are open and willing to teach it. China have a long history for the bamboo in developing. So we have a lot of traditional university and college for education. I think the two key points for sustainable industrial development are renewable material and added markets. The first one is the renewable resource of raw materials. Only raw material can make the industry sustainable. The end sales market is what drives the industry because markets pay the bills. These 2 points is just from the beginning to the end. At present, we advocate bamboo instead of plastic is a good example of our daily life, especially disposable plastic products, which to use bamboo as raw material to replace. So now here is some cooperation and mutual assistance. One second. In my opinion, because the bamboo industry is a huge industry, it needs different people to working with different factories. Bamboo industry is a global industry that we need global cooperation. The International Bamboo and Red Organization and UNIDO are already working to promote cooperation. So far, we only have 24 hours a day and 365 days a year in which we need to help each other in order to be effective, which need mutual assistance. Here I have some small suggestion for the African governments. Prepare a good survey of bamboo resource to provide adequate information for potential investor, which can push them to check. Like the two speakers from Ethiopia, they just introduced their lot bamboo in Ethiopia. According to the local conditions, government make plan and guidance the bamboo industry development, provide good policies and perfect service to attract local investor and foreign investor. We see the bamboo paper in European. I believe there are a lot of investors from European who will be interested. Also, here's some cooperation ideas. We are looking for investor cooperation for products that we already had sales way out. We have the distributor way. We already sales the bamboo paper. So we believe we can sales more bamboo items. We are looking for governments or investors special for building up bamboo industry park, where only take production equipment can be started which reduce the time. We are looking for more young men, especially in Africa, who had dreams for sustainable industry. I believe the best time is now. So let's looking forward, open the door of Africa. Yes, thank you. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that presentation. This was a very good and upbeat finalization of the presentation today, and I'm very glad that all of the presenters were able to keep their time so that we have a few minutes at least remaining to discuss, to summarize, to synthesize basically what we heard today. I would like to ask the panelists who have been presenting to switch on their cameras if possible, so to have this a little bit more interactive if possible. Mr. Lee, I think you're still sharing your screen. Can I ask you to unshare your screen? Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, this was quite a broad set of presentations. We started with the African Union and what's perceived as the need and the constraints of development opportunities and ambition in the continent. We had Dr. Grant Balatremere reporting on what the global international development finance, particularly environmental finance, is potentially able to provide in assistance and in co-financing. I stress this word co-financing in emphasizing that, as we saw in the slide that he presented, it is always necessary in practically all of those donors. They ask for leveraging finance, for adding private sector investments, and most of the investments would need to come from the private sector to formulate successful projects. Then we had several entrepreneurs who know the reality on the ground very well. Mr. Michael Gebru of Bamboo Star Agroforestry, Mr. Adane Berhe of Adal Bamboo Industries in Ethiopia. Thank you very much for your views and emphasizing the constraints and realities on the ground, but also the experience that you have with managing bamboo resources and keeping value chains flowing. I think yeah, and then finally we had Mr. Lee who knows the value chain potential from a different perspective, from a highly globalized undertaking, understanding what market demand can produce in creating value chains that are using this resource, bamboo, which is an underutilized resource, but that is largely available in Africa and in particular in Ethiopia. Mr. Lee, you were pointing at the need for bamboo resource assessment, and I would just like to point out that there was a global bamboo resource assessment of FAO in the year 2010 that indicated general distribution, and then there were more detailed remote sensing, satellite image-based surveys for Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda that were done by INBAR. So a good number of this knowledge, where is the resource really located, as this has implications on viability of transport, that is to some extent known, that we know that Ethiopia is really endowed within Africa as one of the hotspots, so to say, of resource availability. But then on the other hand, we know that bamboo can grow also very well outside of the forest. So it will be much more difficult to pick it up with the satellite image. That bamboo typically is grown along fences as a border demarcation between farmers, and also all of the speakers, Mr. Gebru, but also Mr. Lee, they emphasize the need to start with resource management. It is important to prevent fire from degrading landscapes and to bring bamboo to its cultivated form of the high regenerative capacity of it as it is botanically, biologically. It's a grass. Grasses are known to be particularly quick in growing, and bamboo simply is the grass that evolved in the forest and used the creativity of modern plants to grow vertically and to produce this huge amount of biomass. And being very efficient in water use, being very efficient in carbon use, and cultivating its own microclimate, and those are benefits that bamboo can potentially bring to landscape restoration. And as Mr. Grant Balatremer pointed out, there are funds available that are valuing these ecosystem services bamboo can provide. There are grants, public financing grants in the order of magnitude of billions of dollars that are putting a value to the putting a monetary value to the capacity of that plant to restore landscapes and water households of the landscape, which bring benefits to agro value chains outside of bamboo, to populations who have more regular, more secure, more resilient water supplies for the dry period. And these are, I think, important points that this value, that this bamboo resource can supply to the development of African nations. Could I go through the list of speakers as we had them now and ask each of them what they learned and what they take forward from the session that we had today? Can I ask Ms. Bernice McLean to summarize what you learned today and how you will be able to apply it in your work in the African industrialization community, please?
Thanks very much, Niels, and thank you also to the speakers. I think, I mean, as I said in the beginning of my speech, I didn't really know very much about the potential for bamboo at all. I knew that it was very much growing rapidly on the continent, and that there were initiatives by member states. But I think today has really indicated that it is a serious value chain that we need to incorporate within our considerations of regional and continental value chain development for Africa. And I think some of the processes and the steps to do that, as well as some of the current actors and entry points is to do that, to take it forward, both in terms of driving the processes and financing and doing the research behind it. So thank you to everybody, and I really look forward to staying engaged in these discussions, seeing how we can help as an institution to help our member states. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernice, for this comment. I mean, we had these initial pictures today. I showed some of the slides of the costs of Africa of importing pulp, which is tremendous for some of the poorest countries of the world to be import dependent on a commodity that can potentially be produced. But then, on the other hand, we heard from our entrepreneurs, from Mr. Adal Berhe, that he has a small paper mill and he realizes it is not competitive, and that there are obviously in this commodity tremendous economies of scale where it's not easy to produce at a competitive price, even in a landlocked country such as Ethiopia that has to import everything through Djibouti and transport it overland. Larger production facilities would be necessary to be competitive at the unit price in this paper market. And that is something one has to realize in that commodity again. Good. Let me hand over to Dr. Grant Balatremer. What is it that you learned or recognized in this session? You're muted at the moment. Could I ask you to please?
Thank you, Niels, and thank you, everyone. Yeah. I really appreciate this opportunity to learn from you. I've seen the potential that exists. I've been very impressed by the entrepreneurs from Ethiopia, from China, that have spoken about that potential and the opportunity. There is available co-financing to support this type of development, but we've got to work hard and together in order to reach that potential. Thank you very much.
Okay, well noted. Thank you very much. Let me hand over to the next presenter we had on the panel today, Mr. Michael Gebru, founder and CEO of Bamboo Star Agroforestry. You're muted. Yes, unmute yourself. Good. I think I can hear you. Hello?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
Good. I hear you.
First of all, thank you for organizing this panel for discussion, and it gives us a great hope and opportunity to see African Union, UNIDO, and then other big organizations and investors also who people have great vision on the bamboo. That gives us in opportunity and encourages us, to work hard through our vision and dreams. And I look forward to meet these people through email or communicate them, since we have vast bamboo resources in Ethiopia unutilized and ready for investors, especially in my area. Also signed a lease about 400,000 hectares of bamboo forest, ready to invite for the pulp and the pepper mill industry in that area. Looking forward to see people support us, and not only for us a business aspects, but to help the country save the hard currencies of importing the pulp and paper. My vision is to reverse that. Instead of we pay hard currency to import pulp and paper, we export and generate income to the country and create employment and make people happy. That's my dream.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel. Mr. Adane Berhe, please, could I ask you for your closing statements and what you learned from the session today?
Thank you very much. I have always learning from bamboo families, like intellectuals, presentations, entrepreneurs, like Mr. Nilesy, what you have telling us about the bamboo processing plantation and industrial development, how it is going in Africa. That I learned a lot from 4 or 5 of you presenters. And always there is a lesson from the topic of the bamboo. I'm very much fond of interest on the bamboo processing. That is why I'm engaged myself with this development. And always there is a sparks, bamboo intellectuals, when they present some other words, giving their ideas, researches, a lot of things what I have learned from the first 2 or 3 presenters, that I've got a lot of things, and gives us moral and future bright that to proceed for our development. And as I have said on the presentation, it is nice for bamboo presenting agro-processing for a coming generation, and think bamboo in China, almost 3,000-4,000 years experience, that they come nowadays are a champion in the world and have a potentials and studies and experience. We had got a lot by this type of opportunity, meetings, live meetings, online meetings like this. And finally, once again, I thank you for having this opportunity to get this social capital that I got from the bamboo family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thank you very much, Mr. Adane Berhe. Can I hand over to the last presenter, Mr. Li Yong of Zhengzhou International, please. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to use two words, the simple two words. I feel the power of global bamboo family. First one. The second one, welcome to China, learning bamboo, and let's together go to Africa. So thank you everyone.
Thank you very much. We have to close this panel as the main plenary closing session of BARC 2022 is to start in a few minutes. I would like to express my sincere thanks to all panelists for being available at short notice, and I hope that this is the beginning of a journey and one that is contributing to sustainable and inclusive industrialization of Africa. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.